Traditional life of native breeds. Native breeds are very important for children as they are used to humans, to be in contact with humans, and all different kinds of small animals are good for children to train empathy on. In old days, the families had a lot of children, and older children, they got from a young age used to take care of their younger sisters and brothers. But in many countries nowadays, there are very few children in the family, perhaps only one or two. So for these, it's very important then to have some kind of an animal to train this empathy on. Let's have a look on some photos of daily life situations in Finland about 700 years ago. Here you can see some men. They are doing woodcraft, handicraft indoors in the dark evenings in front of the fire, and the woman is spinning in front of the fire, not to see better, but in order for the lanolin, the sheep wool fat, to when it's getting warmer, it's easier to spin the yarn. So it's you can the fineness, and if the yarn is uneven or even, you feel actually in the fingers, so you don't need your eyes for that. A situation from Burning Slash and Burn, and this is a pretty new photo. You can see this is in front of a book from 1954, and actually you can see that it's a demonstration fire. It's not a real one, because the people here, they have leather shoes on, and that you did never have when you were doing the burning. You had birch shoes. Farmer plowing together with his horse, and he had also to let the horse rest in regularly, so they could not just go on plowing for hours, but he was also keeping these breaks in between. And pay notice too that there is an stone here in the front also, in the middle. They were just plowing around it. Up in the Northern Europe, there are different ways how to put hay up to dry, and this method was the recent one method used in Finland. So there was kind of wooden poles that were put in the soil, and then in the middle, one or two places, usually there was a stick in the middle of the pole. You can actually see one of the sticks here on this picture, that there is one going like this. And then the hay was put on. The stick you need in order to make a small gap in between, so that there is air in between. Here are some other ways here to doing it. They are putting it on this kind on a row to hang, and you can see here that there is a wooden construction inside, and then they are putting the hay here on this to dry. And this horse is actually has now two wooden sticks under here, so they are just putting the hay on that, and then the horse are like driving the hay up here to the place where they are then putting it up to dry. And milking by hand, of course, it forms a very close cooperation between the cattle, and here you can see female doing the work. Pay notice to the different colors and marks of the cattle. In the middle we have a red-sided white one, and to the left here there is a darker color, so that could be just darker red, but most likely it's a black one, black and white. This woman here is milking one that is white with some darker marks and black ears, so looking like the northern Finn cattle nowadays. And to the right we have a cattle that I suspect maybe that this would be a gray cattle, and behind that one there is a more red colored cattle. Women sharing wool. Pay notice to the very close connection and trust that the animals have towards the women. Actually, sheep likes to be shared, so it's nice to have short wool afterwards. By shearing by using traditional scissors actually did not cut it so close to the skin as the machinery that are being used today do. And this is actually a very important difference, because if you have very closely sheared the animals and cut, then insects have a larger possibility to yeah suck blood from the animals, that if you are doing it with these traditional tools, then it leaves it a little bit longer. So that's also one thing that you could do if you have an industrial farm. You could try to cut them not so close to the skin. There is a regulation on this machinery, so you could actually do it. A woman milking a goat, very willingly it is standing next to the woman. And in the back you see some native pigs with pretty long hair. And also pay notice to the many wooden structures and buildings in the background. So woodwork was a main thing in farming in Finland, in this northern Europe, very forested area. A knife and an axe, most important tools. Without knowing, you may think, oh, what a pity that the pig is staying indoors in such a shed there, and only can put the head out to eat. Here the women have been giving some food to the pig. And you can see that the woman actually is smiling. And pay notice to her head coat. The whole head and neck is covered. Of course, there are a lot of mosquitoes. You have to cover up yourself. And about the pig now in the shed. It's not so sad story here, but you have to understand the nature of pigs. Pigs are digging holes. They like to be in dark caves. So this is really a very nice home for a pig here. And another thing is that we have wild boars in these regions in Northern Europe, and they have long coats. Also, pigs used to have very long hairs. Still 100 years back, they had long hairs. Even so that there are mentioned that mittens were knitted by using pig hairs. So when it's a dark kind of a cave, then the mosquitoes and insects, they are not going in there. If they go inside, they are flying towards the light, so to get out of there. So it creates this very nice surrounding. Inside they would have straw for the pig there, so it had a nice bed to lie in. So it was kind of a protected environment for the pig in order to get a better health of the pig. Pay also notice in the right corner you see a wooden bowl. So and also this one that the pig is eating from, this is from boards. You can see it has been sawed by boards. But this one here to the right, it is one trunk. From one trunk made a bowl, and these were very much used in animal keeping and in fodder, making fodder for animals. That then they use this one trunk wooden bowls for them to feed from those ones. Also, the bucket that the woman is keeping here, this is of wood as well. So these are the traditional wooden buckets that were used in Finland. Another picture, you can see two cattle. One cow is being milked, and you can see it's from indoor of a stable. And in the left corner, you can see a heap of manure. So there were different ways now how to keep animals. Some had a hole in the wall, and they were putting outdoors the heap. But usually there was behind this hole there could be another building with roof and everything. So the manure was storage indoors actually, in the dung place to call now. And this dung, it's creating a worm as it started to decompose, to compost. So during winter time, actually, this dung heap is creating this worm for the stable indoors. It's kind of a warming battery indoors there. Here is another thing where picture it's outside a stable where they are cutting spruce branches in front of the cow stable. So these spruces could now be used for many different purposes, but they could be used for putting under the cattle. But to a smaller extent, also animals like goats and sheep, and I assume also cattle would eat a little bit out of these needles as well from the spruce. And both sheep and goat, they also could eat the bark of these branches. So it is known that they contain a lot of minerals, so most likely they could then get a small extra mineral input from there. But it could also be just put under the cattle to have more clean and fresh to stay on. An indoor picture from a farmhouse, the bed, a spinner, the weaver, and the bench you can see behind the weaver, they are quite wide benches and they were used for beds. So you can see some linens actually here in the middle of the picture, and for the night then it was spread out on this wide bench, and these were used then for sleeping there. So the farm owner most likely was sleeping in the bed together with his woman, and then other workers or other people at the farm, they would typically then be sleeping here on the bench. So everybody in the same room. The old farmhouses used to have a very big stove. It's made of mason stone, so when it's heated, then the stones are accumulating the warmth. So during the night, it would be still a little bit warm, but from my own experience, then at least in our farm, then during winter nights when it was very cold, then it was close to 0 degrees in these big farmhouses anyway. Here you can also see a bed close to the stove in the back corner, and there was also some stairs here in the back where you could climb up on the stove. Here behind there was a kind of a small room, and often old people were then sleeping on this uh, um, stone oven where it was the warmest, and also children could be put up there. The women here are spinning flax. Linen will be come out of this thread here, and in the middle one is carding the wool from sheep, and here is a winder that the woman to the left, it's ready made, and this seems actually it could be white wool, but it could also be flax. And one more picture of women in work. Uh, a big part of their time was to do clothes for and other textiles needed by the people in the farm. And pay also notice to the old woman who is spinning here and her head cloth. It was very normal for women to use scarves by many reasons. In weaving, you need high mathematical skills to count the threads and in order to put up the and start up the weaving. And this is a tool to wind up the threads for putting them afterwards in the weaver. And this stock here or pole here in the middle, there is an this is like temporarily you could put it up in the farm building's main room in order to wind up these threads. And usually you can see a hole in the floor and a hole up in the roof. So nowadays, if you go into an old farm building, you could try to check if you see that. No? So if in that farm there had been weaving, then you would also find these kinds of holes in order to fix this winder when starting up the weaving. Besides making clothes for people, they were also making carpets to have in the beds to be sleeping with. Also, skins from animals were of course used, but often the tanning of skins and preparing the skins, it was also very hard work and time consuming, as it also carpet making is that also. But the skins you could usually sell and get money from that. And then women were out of wool making the carpets to in the first place they were sewing like in the beds to take them on you when you were sleeping. And they are long tufted, so the long tuft isolates air, and you will put this colored pattern downwards towards yourself. Later on, let's say already in the 19th century, they started just to use this for ceremonial use, for example, for weddings. They could have them in the churches and stand on them and then afterwards put it on the wall as a memory of this wedding. And there is a lot of symbolics in these different patterns. And for example, the one here in colored pictures, that's my grandmother's tapestry. And you can see her initials, MS, Margit Sletis, and it was done in 1938. And then this number here, 1813, it's from the year of the pattern. So, and this was actually this pattern. It is not locally in the region from where my grandmother was getting married, or from she was also herself from that region, and her husband, my grandfather. But this has been chosen because my grandmother was marrying a farmer. You can see that there are two mills on the picture here, and here down here, I am not quite sure now that these are these grains actually, or I most likely think they are symbolizing grains, and so that she became married to a farmer. So that's the pattern behind it, and it was her sister who was making it for her. This is Linderöd pigs. They are native pigs from Sweden, and you can see them here in their very original environment. They like in summer days to lie down in clay and water mixes. And to the left in the corner, you can see also this one trunk where they were putting food for the pigs here. And this picture is from Eketorp in Öland Island in Sweden, taken where there is a kind of ancient, how to say, castle, you could perhaps say, or ancient village, not castle, but village, which is surrounded by a wall, and there was this kind of Viking age type buildings indoors, and there they are keeping also this kind of pigs. This is Icelandic native horses on work. you can see that they are bringing the sheep down from the mountains. These are Estonian native horses on a large coastal meadow grazing. This is native horses in northwest Russia, and these horses have all separate owners. It's well, some could have two horses as well. So it's the horses of Versininon village people. So they gather together as one flock and then graze. And here you can see them on the beach in the sand, lying in the sand. A Finn horse at work with some turnips. And again, one Finn horse, working horse, very big one. Native horse as at northwest Russia in Kemijärvi National Park, eastern of Finland. It's working. It has been out most likely across the lake to some kind of barn, fetching home some hay. And you can see some native dogs here on the photo as well, and in the back a snowmobile. The heat of the horse, you can see how it is being frosted immediately as it comes out of the body of the horse. And this is Icelandic native dog and horses, which have been working then with taking down sheep from the mountains. They are gathering them in the early September to take them down from the mountains before it starts to get colder. And the dog here is now very tired. It started early in the morning and have been running then, and in the afternoon they have coming down with the sheep. Another one, Icelandic native dog, very tired after a long working day, and you can see that it has also a small injury in the forehead, most likely perhaps got hit by hit by some of the sheep feet or something. It was not any bad injury, it was just a small scratch. Some of the dogs I saw were so tired that the owners, they were lifting them into the cars. But for example, this dog, it rested the whole night, and in the morning it was running up again and very active. And here we have native hens in their original environment on a manure heap looking for insects to eat. This one is from Karelia, Russia. And here you can see a traditional nest for hens. These are from Lithuanian native hens. And this is a semi-natural grassland in Estonia, roaming freely here at Kilsi Meadow. When the sheep roam freely, they are also eating leaves and small branches of bushes. And here native sheep at a forest pasture. Human used also to make nests for the Nordic dark bee, and the traditional beehives could be made out of one trunk of a wood, or they could be made also in a living tree. So there was made a hole inside of the tree. These do not injure the tree. The tree is growing, continuing to growing. Because the most important for the tree is that the bark is intact, because under the bark there is where the nutrients are moving up towards the top of the tree. So a small hole in the middle here, and even if you remove this inner part of the tree, it would not disturb that much the tree.